Albert, thanks for joining us. Clear this up now. What was real, what was rumored, and what was just speculation, because it caught fire.
Yeah, my name got attached to a lot of things I didn't say. I'll tell you that. I'll take you back to Friday, and remember, at that point, Jeff Fisher hadn't even been fired yet. I went on Colin Cowherd's show, and, we discussed my story that ran on Thursday on all the Discord and the Rams organization. Well, and before the show, we kind of discussed topics and what do the Rams do if they move on from Fisher. And I brought up Jim Harbaugh as a logical name that everybody's going to want. And he made sense for the Rams to me for a couple different reasons. First, I think he's the modern-day Bill Parcells. I think he's the guy who can come in and shake up your program and get results immediately if your culture is broken. And so for those reasons, I thought he made sense for the Rams. Also because, I think if he goes back to the NFL, it'll probably be in one of three places: Indianapolis, Chicago, or California. And there's the added bonus there of being able to shove it up the Niners' rear end.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was kind of more logic than anything else, where I said, if I'm the Rams, the first call I make is Jim Harbaugh. Now I go on the show, and it didn't come up, and we talked about everything that was going on in Los Angeles, but we really didn't talk. We didn't get to the topic of Harbaugh, and then afterwards, Colin made a comment about what I'd said, and it wasn't quite what I said, and then somehow it wound up on someone's blog, and, X, Y, and Z happens. You know how these things go, and, it's like you can't say anything anymore without report, being stuck in front of it. And, Sunday morning I went on Twitter and tried to clear it up, and I said I didn't say Harbaugh was even thinking about going anywhere, but by then, the thoroughbred had left the stable and was already down the second leg.
All right, but you're walking away. You're not even on the air when Cowherd is quoting you as saying, hey, Breer just said that Harbaugh rumor to L.A. is real. You didn't say that?
Right. I didn't say that, no. No, I mean, and look, like those things can get lost in translation sometimes, but I never said that. I mean, at that point, Fisher hadn't even been fired. I basically, what I intimated to his people was, I just think that this is the first guy that they'd call, and it's the first logical name that would come up. I mean, look, I think Harbaugh's eventually going to be back in the NFL. I never thought that it would be this soon, but, his name's going to come up every year. Like for a lot of names, a lot of years, Nick Saban's name came up every year. And so, I never meant it as anything more than that, but it got turned into something else. And it's funny because I wasn't even aware of it until Sunday morning, and I'm getting ready for the Sunday games there and to do my job and everything else. And my buddy Rich Eisen texts me and says, "Did you say this?" And my answer was no, I didn't say that. And so that's what prompted me to jump on Twitter and say on Sunday morning that I'd never said any of that. And again, by then I don't think a lot of people wanted to hear what was the truth, which is that I'd never said that Harbaugh was going anywhere.
Well, I think we want the story to be true, Albert, and that's what played into this. Whether you said it or not, that almost, it's like Colin Kaepernick when he first came out with his protest. People forgot what he said there. They had already established what their opinions were down the road. Here's Harbaugh. Well, of course, I would speculate Harbaugh would be high on my wish list. So would John Gruden. There'd be a couple of guys there. Hey, Pete Carroll, come on down. But that doesn't mean that there's anything that's factual attached to it, that yours was analyzing it and maybe just speculation of what could happen in the near future. Now people attached you went to Ohio State, here's Michigan, recruiting.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have this incredible recruiting haul, and that you're trying to create something to hurt Michigan.
All right, two things, Dan. All right, and I am a proud Ohio State alum. I love my school. I was
obviously you're trying to get Harbaugh out of Michigan.
It was over the moon on November 26th. All of that, right? Two things here. One, I have no idea what the recruiting calendar looks like. I had no idea this was a big recruiting week. I'm just completely unaware of all of that stuff. It's the middle of the NFL season. I mean, I don't know where my family is half the time. Okay, so that's the first part of this. The second part of this, I hope Harbaugh stays at Michigan for 10 years. I hope we have what we had in that stadium, because I was there in Columbus on the 26th. I hope we have Harbaugh and Meyer for another decade. It is good for both schools. It is good for the Big Ten. It's good for college football, and it's good for the sport in general. I mean, if this is Bo Woody, if this is the Bo Woody of our era, which is what my dad grew up with, then I am all for that.
Paulie, hold on, Albert. I think Albert just said Harbaugh to stay at Michigan the next 10 years. I think that was the report.
Report in front of that?
That was the report.
I'll tweet it out, Dan. Reports.
Yeah, report.
Yeah, report. So I mean, honestly, Dan, I mean, like the only thing that bothers me about this is like if I'm totally 100% responsible for everything that I say. That's the job of a reporter. I mean, and look, the stuff that I reported on the Rams last week, stand by that 100%. But there are things that you deal with coming out of a story like that. I mean, the thing that bugs me about this is that I'm being held accountable for something I didn't say, which is, obviously problematic.
Do you know what direction they're going in?
The Rams?
Yeah.
I don't think the Rams know what decision,
okay.
what direction they're going. The first piece of this, and I know this for a fact, is to decide what they're going to do with the general manager, with Les Snead and his scouting staff, and 2, deciding what the structure is going to look like. Now, you remember back in 2012, they dangled personnel control in front of Jeff Fisher to convince him to come to St. Louis instead of going to Miami. They have to decide if they want to do that again. Do they want to have the coach-led structure that they've had the last 5 years, or do they want to give power to Snead, or do they want to give power to another general manager and have whoever the general manager is be part of the hiring process? That's the important part of this. I mean, and that happens before. I mean, if you were going to go out and make a run at a Gruden or a Harbaugh or a Carroll or Bill whatever it is, whatever big name you want to throw at this, a lot of times you have to dangle that personnel control. That's how they got Fisher in the first place. They have to decide if they want to do that again, or if they want to go and get the best general manager they can and then choose a coach from there.
Thank you for joining us on short notice, Albert, and we appreciate it.
I hope I cleared everything up.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sure somebody will misquote you later, but we'll try not to, okay?
That's all right.
He's Albert Breer, the mmqb.com.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.